The automotive industry faces another seismic shift today.
U.S. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order slapping a 25% tariff on imported medium and heavy-duty trucks. The new tariff is expected to hit November 1st. There is a carve-out for vehicles traded under the Canada-U.S.-Mexico agreement. Trucks compliant with CUSMA will only be tariffed on their non-American parts. The latest levies will not hit auto parts compliant under the North American Trade Pact for now. A 10% tariff will be placed on buses and motor coaches. Let's bring in international trade lawyer Robert Glasgow now. Robert, thanks for being here. Can you break down these tariffs for us? 25% on imported medium and heavy-duty trucks. To what extent will this affect Canada?
President Trump has announced new executive orders imposing 25% tariffs on imported medium and heavy-duty trucks, set to take effect November 1st. These measures include a 10% tariff on buses and motor coaches, with notable exemptions carved out under the USMCA agreement. The timing and scope of these policies signal a dramatic escalation in North American trade tensions. Meanwhile, Stellantis has unveiled plans that will reshape the continental automotive landscape. The company is committing $13 billion worth of investment into American manufacturing facilities.
Donald Trump has been clear. He wants Canada out of the car manufacturing business.
They make 20% of our cars. We don't need that. I'd rather make them in Detroit.
It looks as though his wishes are coming true, as the U.S.-Canada trade war has now claimed a major casualty. Global car-making giant Stellantis is investing $13 billion in America and shifting manufacturing of the Jeep Compass from Ontario to Illinois.
We will make sure that we push the company and we hold them to account.
Ottawa has promised they won't take this lying down. The Prime Minister stated, "We have further made clear that we expect Stellantis to fulfill the undertakings they have made to the workers of Brampton." Ottawa has not yet clarified what action it will take, but in a letter obtained by Global News, Industry Minister Mélanie Joly says the government will, quote, exercise all options, including legal.
The company has commitments under different types of agreements with the government.
The company issued this statement: "Canada is very important to us. We have plans for Brampton and will share them upon further discussions with the Canadian government." The federal government says Stellantis has a legally binding commitment to stay in Brampton, Ontario, after joining an auto pact promising billions of dollars in incentives.
Our job is to defend Canadian workers and Canadian businesses.
High-level talks continue in Washington, where Carney's trade...
This massive investment comes with a devastating blow to Canadian workers. The Jeep Compass production line will be relocated from Brampton, Ontario to Illinois. The move eliminates approximately 3,000 direct jobs, with ripple effects throughout the supply chain that could impact tens of thousands more. Trump's administration has made its position clear, stating they want Canada completely out of car manufacturing, preferring all production to shift to Detroit and other American cities. This represents thousands of Canadian jobs hanging in the balance.
Forestry, huge industry, they'll make it through. It's going to be tough, they'll make it through. Quebec, aluminum, huge industry, they'll make it through. The Americans don't have enough aluminum, they'll make it through. I'm with Lisa on this one. Automakers, the automobile manufacturing sector as a whole is so huge to the Canadian economy. If it continues like this, that will have a determining effect on all of the country. And, you know, one plant in one city, 3,000 direct jobs, 3,000 families without a livelihood potentially, but then everything else in a ripple effect, all the indirect jobs. That's one factory, and there are many. So it is a huge concern as they're negotiating right now in the United States. This has to be top of mind, but it wasn't. Lutnick was directly saying, Lisa's right, her quote is right. Lutnick is clear as a bell. They're going after the Canadian automobile industry as a whole. And I think we've got to be lucid about what that means to us. We keep talking about Trump and the effect of this. This is huge. This is the big one. Automobile is the big one. And I think that, yeah, you're right, Vashti. I mean, let's hope that there's something in the budget. But let's hope that there's not something in the budget that goes back to the old game of the government trying to pick who the winners are in a free market. That's been proven to be a huge mistake. Benzie was talking about the plants that are still on tap in Ontario for the electric vehicles. I hope that turns out to be true. But it goes back to an interview you had, Vashi, with the Chinese ambassador. Why are we still imposing 100% tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles to please the Americans when they're doing their darndest to destroy our automobile industry? I haven't heard a convincing answer to that one yet.
The Ontario government has invested $15 billion in subsidies to attract and retain automotive manufacturing, particularly in the electric vehicle sector. Now, those investments appear increasingly vulnerable as companies reassess their North American strategies. The Canadian government has responded with promises to exercise all available options, including potential legal challenges, but the effectiveness of these measures remains uncertain. The implications extend far beyond individual companies.
Within the power, and I understand those, why a country would want to do that. I think with this current administration, it's probably not a productive path forward. I believe it would escalate the tensions and likely could lead to a complete fissure in the relationship. And just as a reminder, we are headed into a negotiation on USMCA. I'm not completely convinced that the administration wants to retain the trilateral nature of it. So the moves that are made, you talked about permanence, the moves that are made on both sides are going to be important in the kind of signals it sends. So obviously it's an internal government, Canadian government decision whether to retaliate when and how much. And as long as, they're prepared for some counter retaliation and potentially, a deeper fissure, then that's within their rights.
Well, certainly Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, he spoke to a Canada-USA summit in Toronto last week, the day after the Oval Office meeting. He beamed in. It was Chatham House rules, but the comments were so alarming they got out. I mean, essentially saying they're going to take the autos.
Former Trump administration often. Eichel suggests this is part of a broader strategy to fundamentally restructure North American trade relationships. The rise of China has altered global economic dynamics, and the United States is attempting to rebalance these relationships. Canada finds itself caught in this larger recalibration, with warnings that retaliatory measures could lead to a complete dissolution of the trilateral USMCA agreement. Some experts fear we could see a return to separate bilateral deals, fundamentally altering decades of integrated North American trade. Canadian leaders find themselves at a critical crossroads. Premier Doug Ford advocates for strong retaliatory measures against American tariffs, while others like Mark Carney prefer continued dialogue and negotiation. This division reflects a deeper UNCC or tainty about how to respond to an increasingly protectionist American trade policy. Industry leaders and workers express growing frustration as sectors including automotive, steel, aluminum, forestry, and fisheries all face mounting pressure. The question becomes how long Canadian workers can accept job losses while being told that diplomatic relations are improving. The public relations battle has already begun. Foreign countries, including Canada, have launched television advertising campaigns to influence public opinion on these trade disputes. These efforts reflect the high stakes involved and the recognition that public sentiment could play a crucial role in shaping policy outcomes. Both sides understand that winning the narrative battle may be as important as the negotiations themselves. LVS. As these developments unfold, the future of North American automotive manufacturing hangs in the balance. The decisions made in the coming weeks and months will determine whether decades of integrated production can survive this new era of economic nationalism. For the thousands of workers whose livelihoods depend on these industries, the stakes could not be higher. The question now is whether compromise is still possible, or if we're witnessing the beginning of a fundamental restructuring of North American economic relationships.